Hi guys, welcome to another Celts Call. It's been a while since I've done one, so I just fancied giving one a go and getting back into it. So this time I'm just generally talking about what I'm playing, what I'm planning to record more of, and that kind of thing at the moment. Because I do play lots of other games, but unfortunately, being where I am in Cornwall, it's not easy to travel to get to other games. For other clubs and that, so it tends to be what we play at our club, and which tends to go into cycles. So we do play a lot of games, and not all of them I record. Some games just don't go across well. Games like Dreadball and that I just can't record, and I don't think it would be a very interesting battle report anyway. So I'm just going to look at these thoughts, and also on a game I'm developing, or a set of rules I'm developing, but I'll talk about that a bit later on. So I thought I'd take just a quick look at the games I really enjoy playing at the moment. Saga is right up there. Had great fun with Saga. It's not a mass number of figures. The picture in the background is a bit unusual. It's one I've got coming up against the Scots. Unfortunately, that was a Wayland delayed order from about 6 weeks and still not heard anything. So apologies for that in the background. But don't worry about what's in there. Anything goes. Yeah, Saga's great fun. Joined the campaign for it. Lord of the Rings, again, another good system. The Hobbit brought some good things to the game, also some bad things. I'm looking forward to the update to that. Full Thrust, free fleet conflict rules, excellent, really good rule set, really enjoyable to play. Can't have huge fleets with it because it's quite detailed in how it plays. But other than that, that's a good system, and considering it's free, it's fantastic. So we enjoy playing that, but again, I don't do battle reports for it because it's hard to follow, and because of the detail of it and different systems that can go down, I can't really find a way of recording it sensibly as the way I do my battle reports. Same for Dreadball. Dreadball's really come back at the moment. There's some couple of guys that are following the Kickstarter, so when Dreadball tools release, we'll really be playing this. I'd like to do battle reports again of this, but again, it's just such a hard game because it's such a fluid game to make sensible battle reports using the pictures that I do. I mean, in the future, if I have the money to get a camera and that, I could set up and do like a sped up version of the game. Maybe that would work, but as for a game at the moment, it's not really working for battle reports. And Black Ops, really good game. We've got some guys that are into their modern warfare stuff, and this game really comes down for that. We've got Arabistan, which is constantly being raided by random SAS or Rangers and stuff. And I normally don't do battle reports for this because we play this for fun, and there's normally like 6 of us doing it, and we're just sticking around for as long as we can. I mean, there's loads of games that I really enjoy playing. Bolt Action is up there, Frostgrave, War and Conquest, Dragon Rampant, Legends of the Old West, and High Seas, Songs of Blade Hero, Blood Bowl, DBA Hot, and there's loads more. It's just that I don't get a chance to play them. I generally game once a week. My club's open from 4.5, 5 hours. And we can get some games in it, and I say you've got to be playing what everyone else is playing, so I don't always get to play something a bit unusual. When the time comes round and it's cycle, I mean, most clubs are the same. If you have a cycle of games, we'll be playing a lot of Hot, or we will be playing Dragon Rampant, or whichever. But because there's so many, it's a smaller club in the middle of nowhere with tastes of individuals not always crossing over. It's never easy to get a game. But there's loads of games out there that I really enjoy playing, and unfortunately just don't get the chance to do it. And there's also some games that I have which I've either stopped playing or don't overly enjoy playing. Flames of War is one of them. The scale of the game and how it plays, some of it is quite clever, but just what I call the scale of it and how it looks and how everything's cramped on the board really annoys me. I think any game where you've got an unkillable unit, unless you have a particular weapon, and if you've only got one of those in your force, and that's relatively easy to be taken out, it pretty much makes the opposing force unbeatable, and then kind of nullifies anything else that you try and do for the rest of the game. I know a lot of the scenarios are objective based and that, to try and get around that, but it's still a game I find really uncomfortable and not enjoyable. Drops and Commander, this is a game I supported and went for when it first came out. Love the miniatures, love the philosophy behind it, the moving battlefields. But I went for PHR, which probably wasn't the best idea in the world. And what this meant is I went all with the walkers. I think the walkers look fantastic, but if you're fighting in a city, mobility wins out. The ability to move, shoot them, move, or move and shoot means everyone was shooting me, and I just couldn't get a target on. The idea of carrying all these drop shits that drop you into a position where you can fire is great, except you can't shoot on the turn that you get out. So you kind of wasted time doing that, and then you have to load up, so you waste a turn doing that, and you end up like 2 turns to try and move the same distance as everyone else is moving with their normal troops, which really got somewhat irritating for me. It's not all bad. I mean, I know they've released more stuff and they've got skimmers now for the PHR, but that just makes every bloody army the same, and I don't really like going that route. 40k, you've probably never ever seen me play 40k. I dropped out of 40k some years ago. I've still got massive miniatures that I slowly sell off, Space Marines, Imperial Guard wise, and I've still got loads. I've got full Muddy and Iron Guard force and stuff like that. What took me out of that was the way the system was going. It was a good skirmish game and enjoyable to play, but then it turned, the scale went a bit skewiff, and it was just ridiculous. The amount of dice you were trying to throw for a unit, and the vehicles, and I mean, nowadays you've got Titans and all sorts in it, so that just dropped me out and got an interest for that. On the other hand, Epic works really well for what a game of 40k currently plays that should be. That was a really good system. I'm saddened that Games Workshop got rid of their specialist games. And finally, Warhammer. Yeah, with the Age of Sigmar, I dropped out of Warhammer and haven't really gotten back into it. There is Ninth Age out there. I still follow channels like Once Bitten and I can't think of the others at the moment. I've got a list of channels that I do follow that still do the Ninth. Lord Tremendous and all that. They do good videos and good reports on it. But, you know, it's just, I'm not finding it exciting anymore. What brought me to Warhammer was the lore, the background, and with all that kind of gone, I mean, the new miniatures look fantastic for the Age of Sigmar, but the gameplay itself for that definitely didn't interest me. And Warhammer itself is, I'm just kind of tired of it, to be honest. I mean, War and Conquest does it for me for what I want to do, but I do want to do something slightly different, and I'll get onto that in a minute. Because the last thing I am actually creating, as I said, I'm creating my own rules, and why I'm creating, I'll explain next. So why develop my own rules? Well, basically it came down to the fact that I really miss Warhammer. And not so much the game system itself, but the background for me really made Warhammer. I mean, without that, I'd have never got into wargaming. The old world, the Skaven, the Empire, dwarves, all of that, the entire background for that made it fantastic. I love reading the books. I've got so many copies of Gotrek and Felix. What's the other one? The Black Wine. Is it the Black Wine? Anyway, there's so many there that I thoroughly enjoy. I miss playing it. I wanted to get back into playing it. But it was how to get back into playing it without actually having to play Warhammer. Originally, I was going to do Lord of the Rings, use that rule set. But I've been playing so much Lord of the Rings lately. I don't really want to do a skirmish game. I want the next kind of size up, which allows me to have kind of tactical movement with units, but still allows freedom of removal of miniatures, a bit like Kings of War. But everything's got a set unit size just to make things life easy and simple. So that was one of the reasons, and the original reason was 40k. When I came out 40k, I wanted a rule set that would play 40k. Bolt action, before they brought out their Gates of Antares, I was very tempted to revamp Bolt action to become my new 40k. But there was some parts of the system I didn't really like, pinning and such, that didn't really work out for me. So I decided to develop my own rules. And on a side note for that, after trying to create a core system, like Warhammer is, if you play one you can play the other relatively, you understand the hit to wound mark and stuff like that. I was going to build a core system and then develop it for both games. But I then created one called Endura, which is a planet which is surrounded with wormholes, and ships and craft crash on it and get stuck on this jungle planet, and it's a fight for survival. Basically, you've got to collects resources. It's the normal kind of gameplay you see from probably like Across the Dead Earth and things like that. But they also, in part of the system, you actually have to build buildings to be able to create new units, which then increases the size of your camp, which makes it more likely that people find you and you get raided, and all of this kind of thing. So all this came off just the idea that I wanted to be able to play 40k with a set of rules that, in my mind, kind of make sense. So what are the rules? Well, I'm not going to go over them completely, but it's nothing new. I mean, I can't pretend that they're all my idea. I've basically played so many games now, I just taken what I like out of certain games and stuck them into this rule system. I mean, I love the pip system from things like DBA, where you're limited on what you can do. The other thing I don't like is the random pips. So that kind of changes. So it's more like a system similar to what you see in bolt action, except it's alternatively passed, not guaranteed. You might have one or two things happen while the other person only does one thing. So it's not quite so random as that. But the more you do, the more it costs in your command pips, and suddenly you can't do so much. You can do a lot with like one unit, but that's all you're going to do in your turn, or you can try and do as much as you can with as many units, just doing less orders to them. It's all going to have the to hit and the to wound system. I'm going to be using D8s. I've been trying. I don't want D6s. I wanted a bit more variation. So I'm going to go for D8s and see how that works out. At the moment, it seems to look alright and feels okay. So yeah, you're going to have the hit to wound, and you're going to have a morale system that you've seen before. All the dice rolling on this relies on you rolling an 8 or more on a D8. So your combat modifiers adds to your dice, and on an 8 or more you get a hit. You know, it's all really easy stuff. It's just a game that I want to play which is not too complicated, will not have masses of miniatures, and at the end of the day I can enjoy with my friends at the club, and hopefully go from there. Finally, what am I planning? Well, I'm going to continue on as I ever do, recording games that I enjoy playing, and hopefully you enjoy watching. This is going to be more Saga, more Lord of the Rings, and then hopefully, I'm saying hopefully, I want to do a new series with my rule set based back in the Warhammer world. It's going to be a narrative series following the third son of a merchant from Altdorf, and it'll be his story travelling out to the Board Princes, and hopefully with that there'll be other players who will try out my rule set, and then I can slowly add to it. So it'll be a small game getting to a larger scale game, and then eventually maybe we can do some siege stuff and that, because I've missed that side of the Warhammer world a lot. The character behind it, the dark grittiness, was always fantastic, and I think it's something they've really lost now with the Age of Sigmar, which is a shame, because as I say, it brought me out of the game, but luckily I've still got enough resources here now of the old world that I can continue it, and a fair few maps lying around to bring back the battles in the Border Princes and God knows where else. So, thanks for listening. I hope I didn't yap on for too long. I don't like long videos. I try and keep them definitely below 20 minutes if I can. And better if I can keep it below 10 minutes, just so you can watch something and got something on in the background where you're painting or whatever. So until the next time, leave in your comments if you want to just say, what you think I should be doing, or what you would like to see, or even your own suggestion on, your own set of rules. I mean, have you been doing it? Do you like the idea of someone just creating their own set of rules for fun? I'd like to hear from you guys. Alright guys, take care all. That was